Hi, my name's Jan. I'm with the Downtube. I want to introduce our new kids race bike. This is the rigid non-suspension model. So I want to talk about the features, starting with the handlebars go down and then from front to back. So here we have ergonomic grips, which are really great for kids. My kids love these grips. We have beautiful Tektro brake levers, really short levers, which are perfect for little kids' hands. Light action trigger shifters, so these are really sweet, much better than grip shift for kids. We have removable faceplate stem with a rise bar, which is perfect. You can actually loosen these bolts. You don't even need to loosen all four of them, two of them should do. And you can rotate the handlebar towards the child or away from the child to actually minimize or maximize their reach. If they have really long arms, you're going to want to rotate the handlebars further away to let them stretch out. If they have short arms, you don't want them leaning forward and sitting on soft tissue, so hence you would actually rotate the handlebars back to use this rise of 1.5 inches to accommodate for their length. Okay. In addition to that, we actually have an adjustable angle stem. This 0 to 60 degree angle adjustable stem. There's a little, notation here on tells you exactly how many degrees. Right now it's about at 10 degrees. So if you have a longer child, I would actually have it closer to 0. And if your child has shorter arms, you don't want them leaning forward, then they're going to sit on soft tissue. It's going to be very uncomfortable. You get it up to 60, bring it closer to their body so they don't have to stretch out as far. And so as your child grows, if you get this bike for them when they're younger, I would have it closer to 60. As they grow, I would actually push it out further and further to accommodate for the length. That's exactly what I did with my children. As they grew, we went from 60 to 0. And they're almost ready for another bike, which is really cool. Anyway, so the controls on the left side are exactly the same as the controls on the right, so I'm not really going to focus on that. So we have a 1 1/8 stem here. We have some height here, which you can accommodate. If you need it to be shorter, you can actually cut the steer tube and make it a little bit shorter if you need to. But this is a really nice height for most kids. Right here, you see we have integrated headset in the head tubes for lightweight. So standard threadless system. So it's actually a very nice system. Aluminum lowers on the fork. So this is a rigid fork. This frame is a little bit shorter. It's about 1.5 inches shorter than the suspension bike. So generally we recommend this for kids, 5 to 8, maybe 7, depending on how tall, how long they are. But the older kids, bigger kids, are going to prefer the suspension. It's actually a taller, longer model slightly because the suspension fork is 1.5 inches taller. And so we accommodate for the geometry in that way. So this is perfect for the shorter kids, younger kids. Okay, as we move over here, you see we have machine sidewall rims. So the brakes can really bite down on a rough surface, make sure that the bike's going to stop faster. Beautiful V-brakes here. Awesome off-road tires, so these are just beautiful, nice grip. All right, so yeah, 6-bolt interface on the hub. If we take a look at, so obviously quick release on the hub, but in addition it's a 6-bolt interface. So you can actually put a disc brake on this bike if you need to. Generally, I would recommend that you put disc brakes on bikes with taller, heavier kids. The younger kids just really don't need discs, and the risk of bending the rotor does not outweigh the benefits. So I would stay. It's an option you can use, but generally, not recommended for the lighter, smaller ones. Okay, so in addition, we have disc tabs on the fork, which is really sweet right here. So if you want to go disc, this bike is completely ready for that if you choose. So let me now kind of move back. So that's the front. Now, okay, you see our new logo, water bottle braze-on right here, which is perfect. Here we have a front or air braze-on. So if your child wants to go to a double or a triple crank, they can. Actually, this crank is ready for a second chain ring right out of the box. At the same time, we recommend, especially for off-road mountain biking, that the kids stay with a single in the front. That's generally what everyone's going with now, because the front derailleurs don't shift under load at all. The only way to guarantee you throw your chain is by climbing a hill and shift on the front. The rear shifts perfectly. That's what everyone's doing, 1x9, 1x10, 1x11. Generally, we would recommend that you stay with the 1x in the front. If you need a wider gear range, if you're not going to be mountain biking but touring with your kids, then a double in the front would make more sense. and you can just put a bigger chain ring on and a front derailleur, and right out of the box, this is perfect. This crank will accept the second chain ring. All right, so here we have a beautiful KMC chain. I'm looking for the master link on this guy, and there we go. So you can take this chain apart without any tools. The master link will, you just push it together, it pops right off. So, which means the chain itself is always going to be stronger, since you don't have to use a chain tool. When you use a chain tool, you weaken the chain at that point. This one will never need a chain tool. Perfect. So as I continue moving back, see, we have really nice long chain stays. So long wheelbase for a little kid's bike, which is really nice. Beautiful rear derailleur. So this is a racing quality rear derailleur. And beautiful cassette here as well. Holes drilled out of it for lightweight, ramps throughout. Shifts perfectly. I've used this type of a cassette for most of my adult life, actually. The weakest point of a frame is generally the rear derailleur hanger, the part that holds the rear derailleur in place. Generally, if something hits the rear derailleur, it's not going to break the derailleur, but rather the hanger is going to bend. And when the hanger bends, the rear derailleur is going to live in the wrong plane, and it's never going to shift right, and the bike is kind of a mess. So what we did is we put a replaceable rear derailleur hanger right here. Little bug has to go. But anyway, so if ever something happens where you bend this hanger, you can just, with a 5mm Allen bolt, remove this bolt, the hanger comes right out, put in a new hanger, and you're in business. In addition, this is a soft hanger, so you can bend, we use, clearly, this is very stiff aluminum throughout the frame, but on the hanger we actually use a softer aluminum. That way you can actually bend the hanger, because there are no forces at this point. And hence you can bend it back if you need to. If you're on the trails and you actually bend it, you can bend it back several times because it's soft. Stiff aluminum, once you bend it back, it'll snap. The soft aluminum can be bent many times. Okay, so we have the machine sidewall rims in the back, just as in the front. Quick release on the seat post, quick release obviously on the other side for the rear wheel, just as in the front. And let me flip this around. And you see the 6-bolt interface here for the rear hub. So this is a really nice hub. And you can put discs on the front and the rear, cable routing for your disc brake if you're going to go that route, disc tabs on the back. So this is where the caliper would go. If you choose that, again, with the lighter kids, I'm not so sure I would go that way. But for the bigger, heavier kids, definitely that's an interesting option, especially on the trails, depending on which trails they ride. So, okay. And if you want to put a rack on the back of this bike, it actually has an interface right here to put a rack on if they want to actually do some commuting, and carry stuff with them. So this is our new race kids bike with a rigid fork made especially for smaller, younger kids. And the same bike with the suspension fork will accommodate taller, longer kids about 8 to 11 years old. And our Race 24 takes the next step up for kids 10 to 14. So we have a complete solution everywhere from 5 years old up until 14. Thank you very, very much for watching. Really appreciate it.